Hey everybody, I'm Ilushia. Today begins our look into the second marathon game, Marathon Durandal. As you can hear, I still can't get the opening bit of this before the main screen to actually load properly into Fraps. I still don't know why it doesn't work. I'm sorry. If you're wondering why the resolution on this is so weird, it's because I have to run it in a window at the moment because I can't find my manual for the game, so I'm going to try and... let me turn that off so that I'm not yelling over the music. I'm going to read out the stuff from the introduction in the manual, but I've only got it in PDF format, so I can't do that without doing this in a window. It will be full screen when I actually go to play the game. So... For Battle Group 3, Central Arm hung motionless above the dusty ball of rock that was Lo-Owen, the second planet of a dim star 97 light-years from the gravitational center of the Milky Way. The gigantic battleship, 3 smaller destroyers, and 20 auxiliary craft had not left the system for nearly 6 years. They were not to be relieved for another 2. Lo-Owen had once been a marsh world, now it was nearly waterless desert. It had been populated 1,000 years ago by a race of highly intelligent creatures who had already landed on their own moons and would soon have headed to other stars. Below, their cities stood empty and ruined. In this glory years, Battle Group 3 had been known throughout the Empire, decorated in every battle anyone remembered from the War of the Imperium for turning back the Loyalists at Tarm's Gap and holding the approaches to the homeworld itself during the slave revolt of the Nak. Undefeated in battle, it was finally politics that splintered Battle Group 3. By sending a few ships to suppress subservient races here, a few more to garrison the fringes of the Four influence there, the nobility had slowly broken the power of the old navy. What was left of Battle Group 3 had been assigned to this dead world in the galactic core, to defend the system against a single enemy no one expected would ever arrive, and who had last been seen thousands of light years away. The tedium of blockade duty had destroyed morale and discipline. In the dark between the orbits of the 6th and 7th planets, slightly above the ecliptic, a ship vanished, folding soundlessly in on itself in impossible ways. As the long craft twisted and faded in one place, it began simultaneously to appear in another. The stolen ship had been in the system for days, keeping its distance from Lo-Owen and the Four fleet surrounding it, dodging among asteroids and moons, testing and measuring, looking for something, waiting. Alarms sounded throughout Battle Group 3, screaming that a vessel had folded into existence less than 30 kilometers away from the battleship. Computer operators throughout the fleet stared in disbelief at their tactical screens. No one could jump this close to a gravity source. For 3 seconds, no warning was passed, no word spoken, no action taken. The invader erupted in 100 thin lines of green fire, striking out towards the 4 ships, phasing through their shielding, destroying weapons or engines or communication gear. In seconds, Battle Group 3 had been disabled, and their ships began exploding. In 2 minutes, only one ship debris in orbit above Lo-Owen. Down on the planet, as the orbital bombardment began, the 4 garrison was only just beginning to understand how hard their life would become over the... I stared through the window of transparent metal alloy and out into space. For a moment, I thought we were still at the colony, still on the alien ship in orbit around Tau Ceti. But there were too many stars here, and the sun was too red, and the planets too big. The ship felt different too, cleaner, but older. The scars of the battle which had nearly consumed it had been erased, most of them anyway. I thought that I was remembering firing the grenade which had buckled the armor plating in the hallway outside the room where I awoke. The dent was still there, if you looked close enough, painted over and smoothed out, but still there. When it turned out Durandal had brought me here, instead of leaving me to be the hero of Tau Ceti like I deserved, I wasn't surprised. Durandal was the rogue personality construct who had been the brains behind the defense of the colony ship Marathon. I'd just been the brawn. Durandal had always been unpredictable, even when he was just opening doors and managing food processors 300 years ago on Mars. Together, we had fought off the 4 invasion of Tau Ceti. I don't think a single one of the 3-eyed creatures survived, but we'd taken their ship. Now Durandal said that we were in the galactic core, thousands of light years from Tau Ceti or Earth, and that 17 years had passed since we left Tau Ceti. He had ignored my questions, mostly, telling me that I wouldn't have wanted to stay on Tau Ceti anyway. 17 years in an alien stasis chamber, in a space too tall and too thin for human comfort, unconscious and dreamless within a few degrees of absolute zero. 17 years while Durandal had raced about the galactic core in a stolen 4 attack ship. He's probably right when he said those years were boring, but nobody asked me what I wanted. Now he says there's fighting to be done, and I've got 15 minutes to prepare for transport down to the planet. I guess I'll figure things out as I go along, just like last time. That's the introduction that's in the game manual again. There are some things that you should probably be aware of in this game compared to the first one that are fairly significant. One of the big ones is that if I go into preferences, into graphics, there is rendering options. No, not rendering options, that's the wrong one. Hold on a second, let me find this. It's in environment, plugins, I think it is. By default, there is an enhanced HUD, HD monsters, HD textures, HD weapons, and I'm not actually sure what this one does. I've tried enabling it and disabling it, and it doesn't seem to change anything significant, so I actually have no idea what the last one does. The rest of these are noteworthy because they actually give you fairly 3D versions of stuff and very much higher quality graphics. I'm probably going to be leaving them on, but be aware you can turn them off. And I'll probably give you a look at what they look like when you turn them off at some point through this. The only one I don't really like that much is the actual enemies, the 3D HD monsters and scenery, which is sort of in my opinion. I don't really like the way that the warriors look that much, but I'll leave them on so that you can see what this is the default state. They default to being on if you download this from the website. So I'll leave it on, and you guys can decide for yourselves when you play it, if you play it, what you want to do. I'm actually okay with the high definition for everything else. It's only the monsters that I'm considering turning off because they look sort of weird. What was the other thing I wanted to talk about? There was something else I wanted to talk about, and now I can't remember it. Stupid brain. Let's see, what else was there I wanted to talk about? I think that's everything super important that I've gotten out of the way. The actual gameplay is pretty much the same, but you'll get to see a lot of that. So, yeah, I guess I'll see you all when I start with level 1 in Marathon 2.